Prior to this meeting, we had essentially a timeline being thrown out, right? The president saying he doesn't want to essentially be limited to any kind of deadline. Are we actually making progress since the highly hyped Singapore summit?
No, we're not really. And this meeting between Kim and Pompeo didn't bring very much either. The invitation of American inspectors to check out a dismantled test site was hardly a very significant concession. And what you just referred to, this relaxation of urgency in regard to a deadline, is, I think, a very bad sign. And that was confirmed by Pompeo saying we should get ready for a long haul. So the same Trump administration that came to power promising a speedy end to North Korea's foot dragging is now telling everybody there's no great urgency here. And I think this is because the Americans believe sanctions are going to force the North Koreans to comply. But I think they're wrong there. The sanctions are already being significantly undermined, not only by Russia and China, but by America's ostensible allies, the South Koreans.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, I suppose, this is a regime that has coped with sanctions for so long, right? Brian, it's just been about a year since we had Donald Trump in his first speech to the UN General Assembly, taunting essentially Kim by calling him Little Rocket Man. Does this kind of suggest that the carrot approach isn't working?
I think the carrot approach isn't working, and the sticks cannot work either, so long as our own ally is working as hard as possible to solidify ties with North Korea. In Pyongyang a few weeks ago, the South Korean leader publicly congratulated North Korea for preserving the Korean people's pride and making great economic progress, even under sanctions. And this went right over the Trump administration's head, it seems. But in effect, our ally was congratulating our adversary for standing up to America, for getting around our sanctions. And the two Koreas are now talking of forming a league or a confederation in the very near future. And many here in South Korea are saying that this league is already underway. So the Americans are going to lose leverage on the peninsula with every passing month. And I don't think the Trump administration is aware of that.
We're now hearing from 동아일보 newspaper in South Korea that Kim Jong-un has offered scrapping ICBMs in return for an end of the Korean War declaration. Is this somewhere where negotiators should be more focused? If there hasn't been any progress on denuclearization, should negotiators move on to other conventional issues, conventional missile issues, or just bringing down the tensions in the Korean Peninsula?
Well, of course, both Koreas desperately want the United States to sign that end of hostile relations agreement. And, of course, the North Koreans are promising the Americans the world if they only do that. I think it would be a very big mistake, but the Americans seem to be coming around to the idea that such an agreement could be reversed if the North Koreans don't fulfill their side of the bargain. But this would be a very big mistake on the Americans' part. You cannot formally resume hostile relations in peacetime without public opinion around the world thinking that a war is about to take place. So once the Americans sign on the dotted line, so to speak, I think we're going to have to deal with North Korea as a nuclear power for the duration.